All right, to this story now, Minister of Basic Education Siviwe Gwarube is currently briefing the media in Skukuza in Mpumalanga. This is, of course, the state of readiness for the 2025 National Senior Certificate Examinations. Let's listen in.
We are very much dependent on our provincial education departments to make sure that the administration of the examination proceeds without any glitches. And we do this by having constant communication, reflection, evaluation, monitoring sessions with our provincial department. And I must say, Minister, that in terms of exams, we work as one unity. In fact, we've developed a very strong sense of partnership, agreement, more of a family working together towards a common goal. Regular meetings, standard setting meetings. We have the National Examination Assessment Committee that meets regularly. We have regular audits and reviews. Now, just to provide a little more detail with regard to the data, and I'm sure many of you are interested, with regard to the data. And as Minister has indicated, the 766,000 candidates that will write the examination as full-time candidates this year is the largest that we've had. Now, this is certainly an indication that we are providing greater access to learners, and therefore more learners are now able to get to grade 12 to write the examination. In fact, the numbers from 2024 in terms of full-time candidates has increased by 39,000. So that certainly is a large number. And if we look at the provincial breakdown, every province has increased. And our largest province would be KwaZulu-Natal with 179,000. In fact, 4 of our provinces, KwaZulu-Natal, Gauteng, Limpopo, and Eastern Cape, constitute 60% of the population of candidates that are going to be writing this examination. What is also very interesting is that our part-time candidates are decreasing. Now, this is a positive sign, and I say positive simply because our part-time candidates are repeaters. They wrote the exam previously, and we give learners unlimited opportunities of coming back and writing your exam. So if that number is declining, it simply means that our learners are now attaining their Matric certificate in a shorter period, and therefore the numbers have declined. In 2023, we had 182,000, and now we have 137,000. So that number has decreased by more than 40,000, which again is a very positive sign. And in terms of the decrease in part-time candidates, we're seeing a decrease across all provinces. So there's a uniform observation, except for Free State, Northwest, and Northern Cape, where the part-time candidates has increased, but by a very small margin of between 100 to about 500 candidates. Now, another very important indicator that we elicit from the student enrollment is the number of progress candidates. Progress candidates are candidates who would have failed grade 11, but it means that they are failing grade 11 or they may have failed grade 10 previously. And our policy states that you cannot retain a learner in a phase for more than 4 years. And as a result, a learner who's failing grade 11 for the second time is now being moved to grade 12 to give him an opportunity to demonstrate his skills, but he must meet the minimum standard. Now here again, there's a positive sign. Last year we had 56,000 progress candidates in 2024, and this year we have 41,000. So there's a decrease of 15,000, which also means that more of our learners do not have to take advantage of the progress policy. They are able to meet the requirements of grade 10 and 11 at the first attempt and move to grade 12. Now, if you look at subject enrollments, because we have a 39,000 increase across the board, all our subject enrollments have increased, with the largest increases going to maths literacy, history, business studies. We've had an increase, as Minister has indicated, in mathematics of 2,200 learners, but we need to see a greater increase, and I think that's the point Minister is also emphasizing, that we are moving in the right direction with regard to mathematics, but there is certainly more work to be done in terms of getting the balance between maths and maths literacy. Also, what is very encouraging is that there's an increase in our technical subject enrollments across all our technical subjects. But here again, the margin of improvement is not as high as we would expect. So that's so much in terms of the numbers. Now looking at the actual preparation. Now I did indicate earlier that we have an 18-month cycle. The first step, in fact, before setting the question papers is getting the timetable in place. And here again, I said we have clear standards for the setting of a timetable, and I must say that we've complied with those standards in terms of making sure we consult widely, there are no clashes, and we also publicize the date of release very early. We take note of religious holidays. In fact, incidentally, we could have started the exam today, but because today is a religious holiday, we now start the exam tomorrow. So we're accommodating all parts of the South African population. I think.
All right, live visuals there from Skukuza in Mpumalanga, where the Department of Basic Education is currently briefing on the readiness for the 2025 National Senior Certificate Examinations, which start tomorrow. Our reporter is monitoring those proceedings and will give us a comprehensive wrap beyond the closure of that briefing.